Let's see, it is Tuesday, 7 October at 7:01 p.m. I'd like to call the regular Board of Trustees meeting of the Village of North Hudson to order. And I have a short invocation this evening. Father, the worries of each day are ever around us. Conflict, both within and without, threatens the peace we so desperately want and seek. Father, we come to you with open hearts, seeking your guidance and being content with all that you have given us as a nation. Guard our hearts, O Lord, so that we will be faithful to you and let the peace of your presence surround us each and every day. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Anderson, absent. Hess.
Here.
O'Brien Berglund. Here. Rhodey, absent. Standifer, absent. President Wecken.
Here.
Trustee Zappa.
Here.
Okay, item number 2 is the minutes of the September 2nd board meeting.
And may I move approval of the September 2nd meeting minutes?
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. Is there any additions or corrections or further discussion? Hearing none. Approval, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item number 3 on the agenda is comments from the floor for opportunity for residents to make the board aware of topics, issues, opportunities either on or not on today's agenda. And looking over the crowd, it looks like everybody is on the agenda, so we'll move on to the next item, which is to reschedule the November Finance and Village Board meetings because we have an election on 4 November, which would conflict with the use of the boardroom. It has been discussed earlier in finance that we would, we talked about moving it up a week to the 28th, but there's a Girl Scout meeting, I believe, uses the hall on that night. So we were talking about the 6th of November, which is a Thursday. It'd be 2 nights past our normal meeting.
What night is that? The Girl Scout meeting.
It's Tuesday the 28th.
Yeah.
October.
Right, okay.
That's why we go to the 6th, okay? So, board members present, is there any preferences or does that work for your schedules, you know, I mean?
No, we have election that day, right?
What's that?
Yeah, that's fine. Why don't you make a motion? Did you make a motion? I'll second it.
Nobody's made a motion yet.
No.
Stan, did you?
I would, the motion is to move the meeting to, the November meeting to 6 November rather than 4 November.
A second.
Okay. Now, any further discussion? Ted, that's gonna work? Clean, good?
That should be fine.
And we'll make sure the other guys get to know about it. All in favor of the reschedule, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. We will meet on the 6th of November.
I don't know if it's done at 5:30.
Next item on the agenda is amended Class B, parent Class B liquor license for extended premise Malowin Fall Motorcycle Run, October 11, 2014.
What is the motion? Step down.
So,
Under Planning Commission,
I don't have one.
behind which one?
Oh, there's
There we
suggestions
go.
right there.
Stan, may I move that the Class B/Class B retail license for the sale of fermented malt beverages and intoxicating liquors for Malouin be temporarily amended for an event taking place October 11th, 2014 with the following conditions. 1, possession of open containers of alcohol outside of the establishment shall remain within Malouin parking lot and blocked off street area for event, Wisconsin Street North from 3rd Street North to 6th Street North. 2, use of outside area only with specific permission of Village Board for each particular date and event. The October 11, 2014 event to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. 3, 4 North Hudson police officers and 3 St. Croix County deputies to be on duty during the hours of the event at the owner's expense, to be billed to the owner by the village. Having the additional officers on foot at the event will provide adequate visibility to deter unlawful activity. 4, owner to provide adequate satellite restroom facilities. 5, Wisconsin Street North from 6th Street North to 3rd Street North to be closed to through traffic from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with an open corridor for emergency vehicles maintained, and surrounding neighbors to be notified in advance by the village. Actual times of detour route are at the discretion of the commanding North Hudson Police Department officer on the scene. 6, payment for village services must be paid within 30 days after the event.
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Colleen. Further discussion?
Thanks, Terry.
Hearing none. All in favor of the extended use, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 6 is 2014-2015 cigarette license for Terry's Corner Store. Approval requested.
Stan, may I move to approve the over-the-counter tobacco sales licenses for Terry's Corner Store with an effective date of October 7th, 2014 through June 30th, 2015 as recommended by the village clerk.
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. More paperwork, everything is there. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, now, let's see, next on the agenda, oh, wait, I'm gonna
Okay,
move,
sure.
the EAP up because it was requested earlier, and since
Sure, no
Mr.
problem.
Garrity had an emergency meeting, I mean, we'll
That's
bump you
fine.
back. Just kidding.
I don't think so.
Oops, here, I'll get my stuff.
No, that's all right, it's just fine.
Okay, just to reference for the board, this is item E down in number 10, Employee Assistance EAP Agreement. Last month's meeting, Finance recommended that we go into contract with the Employee Assistant, this program from Family Means, and if there's any questions, we thought we would have representative from Family Means here to answer them for you, because we had them last time, and the people that asked the questions actually aren't here, so you're probably gonna be clear pretty fast. But I'll make the motion to approve, for the full board to approve the contract as discussed at last month's meeting.
Second.
There's a second, so now we can have further discussion, which, if there's questions, or if you want to, short overview.
Sure, I can give you a quick overview of it. I'm Pat Lockyer. I am the coordinator for Family Means of our Employee Assistance Program. We serve a number of companies in western Wisconsin, so small companies and small nonprofit organizations. But I provided you a packet there of information about the agency in general, so you know that we do more than just Employee Assistance Program. We provide comprehensive mental health services, consumer credit counseling, caregiver support services, and a wide variety of community programs serving school districts, even in Wisconsin as well as Minnesota, western Minnesota, or eastern Minnesota rather than western Wisconsin. And the reason it's important to be aware of those services is that your employees then have access to those services, consumer credit counseling, any kind of mental health or personal or relationship counseling that they might need, as well as the caregiver support services. And we have specialists and licensed professionals in all those areas to provide the kind of information and support services that a person might need in any of those areas. And it's easily accessible, it's entirely confidential, so your employees can be very secure in knowing that should they need to access the services, that confidentiality will be maintained. What we do with our employers is we provide quarterly reports of utilization of services, but we don't identify in any way who used it or what kind of service they used, so that we keep that confidential. So it's a good support service, a good safety net for your employees to be able to access our services. And we have a Hudson location where we provide face-to-face mental health services, and the other services can be accessed in our main office in Stillwater or by phone for consumer credit counseling and caregiver support. So we're quite accessible.
Thank you. Any questions?
Wow,
Easy, easy.
I'm going to get off easy tonight, aren't
Yeah,
I?
that's,
Wow.
you know, it's almost not worth the drive.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's good. It's good to meet all of you, and it's good to know what you're doing, and also good to know that you want to support your employees with this service. I think the other thing is, because you have a police department, you should be aware that should the need arise, should you have a critical incident, and there be some kind of serious incident here, and any of the officers need special help in dealing with that we have professionals who are trained specifically in critical incident stress management. It's an important component of the police work that you do to get the kind of help, because sometimes you're put into really scary, difficult situations that can be very hard to deal with later on. And so just know that that service is available as well.
Did the chief get one of the packets? If we have, no, I know you've been, we've talked about this before with the guys in case we have issues, but, no, it's just, you know, it's good for you to have the
Yep.
copy of this, because, it's, yeah, I mean,
And we do come out and do training. And what I generally do when we bring on a new company is I meet with the employees and do an orientation, provide background information, answer any questions at that time, normalize the use of it. We still have some people who believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness instead of a sign of strength. So I work with the employees to encourage them to ask for help when they need it, to access our services, because it's there as a benefit to them. So we can arrange that. I can work with Gloria if you have trainings or times when I can meet with employees at different times or different groups. Happy to come out and bring our materials, and we have other trainings other than orientation that we do on various issues that arise in a person's life, either at work or at home. So,
no, excellent.
good.
Okay, I guess we're done. All in favor of, accepting the contract, with Family Means, signify by saying, oh, that's spending. Spending, Ted?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard, and Gloria will be, working with you to get, our training scheduled. Sounds good.
Thank you very much. We're really happy to be working with the organization and provide the service that we can to your employees.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Would you mind giving Mark Ekblad one of those packets also?
The bigger one.
The 3-ring binder?
Comprehensive one.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. The next item is a presentation, Sanctuary Bike and Pedestrian Coalition discussion possible approval. Let's see. Let's go through the presentation first. We're not gonna work with the approving bylaws, so, what do you got for us?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to be here tonight and speak to the board. Secondly, apologize because I'm not quite the dynamic speaker that Mark is. And he had hoped to be here, but unfortunately he has some family issues he needed to deal with. And if I'd say anything, keep Mark in your prayers. So, you know, Mark is a very passionate person, and he wrote out about 7 pages, but it was pretty big print. So I felt it was maybe, I was kind of torn between, because we actually do a PowerPoint presentation, and Mark had written out 7 pages. I thought maybe if I'd written out 7 pages, I'd want somebody at least who's part of it. But I think what I wanted to point out is a couple of things that he had written here. He's a representative like myself. We're on the board of the St. Croix Bike and Pedestrian Trails Coalition. And he writes here, in the late 80s, I spoke to the St. Croix County Board about establishing bike trails and paths in the county. At that time, the Chicago Northwestern North Line had been abandoned between County Road A and New Richmond. And as I was in the middle of the presentation, one of the supervisors announced, "Bikes. What the hell do we want to spend money on bikes for?" Well, Mark, I think his passion is that he's been doing this a long time, probably more involved in bikes than a lot of people that I know. And in fact, my passion probably has started more recently because my son-in-law works for Trek Bikes. And he's been married for my daughter's been married for about 6 years. So I got more passionate because I just learned more about biking. But today, bicycling, from a tourism standpoint, they estimate it to be about $900 million a year. Let's not get, I want to keep it at a reasonable amount. When you compare that to $1.2 billion for what they estimate the economic impact of deer hunting is in Wisconsin, it's a pretty sizable amount of money that's spent economically on bicycling in the area or in the state. He had some studies he was going to provide you, and unfortunately don't have this, but he goes on to say the St. Croix Bike and Trail Coalition was created less than 18 months ago. And I'm just going to give you a little bit about, we've got a mission statement, and I want to read that. The St. Croix Bike and Pedestrian Coalition is a grassroots effort of St. Croix County residents to create bike and pedestrian trail network. The St. Croix Bike and Pedestrian Trail Coalition's mission is to support St. Croix County local municipalities in the development of a multi-use pedestrian bike trail system and road accommodations network throughout the county that connects St. Croix River Crossing loop trail. And I just want to confirm, is everybody here aware that there's going to be a 5-mile loop trail associated with that? Okay, I'm assuming that was the case. But we're interested in create safe commuting and recreational opportunities, one that encourages healthy lifestyles and promotes tourism and commerce in the greater St. Croix County area. So Mark's description of the coalition is that it's really a facilitator of information. And he goes on to say it was created because the St. Croix crossing bridge will create what is known as the loop trail. In reality, the loop trail creates an approximate 5-mile bike trail starting off on an off-road path at the intersection at the west side of the new bridge and runs north into Stillwater, where it will cross the lift bridge, pedestrian and non-motorized traffic only at that point, and then we'll go up the old Highway 64, Holton Hill, to the intersection of Old 64 and State Highway 35, and then right on into Holton, left on E, and past what will run parallel to the new 64 roadway. And I think there was some discussion about that because one of the resolutions talks about that. So if you can picture this trail, it's going to now be on the inside or the west side of 64 as it crosses, connects. So it will be traveling on basically an inside loop of what 64 is, of the new 64 bridge. And it'll be actually traveling across the bridge on the north side of the new bridge. There will be 3 overlooks on the bridge with a descriptive plaque and markers. When this process started, DOT was really talking to the DNR and the National Park Service, and no one was talking to the Department of Tourism. In September of the last year, the coalition brought together all the parties at one table. They are now talking, and we're all continuing to talk. In February, there was a follow-up meeting with the town of St. Joe, town of Hudson, village of North Hudson, city of Hudson, the National Park Service, Department of Transportation, and the Wisconsin DNR to discuss the linkage between the new bridge and the I-94 bridge. And again, it was informational, was for informational purposes. I don't know if anybody had an opportunity to participate in that? Okay. When the process started, there was no plan to connect the 2 bridges. Now there is a plan to connect the new trail at State Highway 35. And what we'd like to do is that St. Joe has engaged a planning firm to lay out a trail plan. St. Croix County has applied and received a federally funded state-administered TAP grant. And I think the coalition was encouraging and opening the eyes of the county to see the big picture of what was going on. So they actually applied for a $120,000 federal TAP grant, and were approved. And with that, and with the money that the county will be putting in, they're gonna be starting the, spending about $160,000 on a state, countywide bicycle and pedestrian plan. That includes all of the aspects of what's happening with the new bicycle, or with the new road and the new bicycle loop trail, and looking at what communities are planning and bringing all the communities together. So we're really excited about it, because the existing plan went back about 5 years and did not address any of the infrastructure that's coming in with the new, new bridge. In addition, let me see. What he wanted to state was that the coalition is not a government agency. We are all volunteers. We have a 8-person board at this point. We have prepared bylaws to operate under. We have presented them to various governmental entities for approval, and content as courtesy. And I guess what I want to state tonight is, I think there's been some concern about approving somebody else's bylaws, so we're really looking for something on the board that says you support the coalition, and the bylaws by which they operate. So we're not asking for approval, but maybe just something in the minutes that said you supported the coalition. I know there was some, there's some of the governmental agencies who have approved them, and then there was some concern in some of the governmental agencies about approving the bylaws, and I can certainly understand that, and we respect that. But we are looking forward to getting your support tonight on a couple of issues. Mark says he has a vision of a trail both on and off-road, running from the loop trail, south along the right-of-way on State Highway 35, from St. Joe to the town of Hudson, to the village of North Hudson, then connecting up to Galahad Road, connecting to the old railroad bridge, and connecting to the lakefront trails in the city of Hudson to connect to the I-94 bridge. And really, those were his comments. And I think, you know, I can't say enough about Mark and his passion for what he's doing, and I think we're bringing a lot of people together who have that same passion, and we're starting to see a lot of things happen. We have a speaker from Waukesha, actually, who's going to be speaking about some of the trail planning they did in Waukesha County. They were actually successful in winning a $2.4 million TAP grant for Waukesha County to develop trails and build trails in Waukesha County. So we see that there's just so much opportunity in St. Croix County, and we see as a vision that North Hudson is an important part of that, and the fact that I think it'll be an economic factor. I think it'll, as far as from a commerce and investment and tourism, we also think that it will potentially improve the quality of life for your residents when they can get on a bicycle trail. Those people that bicycle, to be able to bicycle either north or south down to Hudson or up towards St. Joe, and we're actually envisioning that this is only the start of things. So I guess what I'm hoping for tonight is that you can see there's 3 things on the agenda, is maybe just some type of support that you can put on your agenda that says you support the coalition and its bylaws, and then looking for an appointment of O'Brien Berglund, who's been very active in the coalition, as your representative. And then lastly, I think you received a copy of a resolution, which was basically, that resolution is something that's going to be sent to WisDOT. And currently, and just to give you a little background, we had a presentation by a number of people that were, number of organizations, and at the time, we talked about, okay, if you're on 35, or I mean on the new 64, the new loop trail, and you want to head south, once you hit 35 towards North Hudson, is there any plans to put a bike trail on that bridge? And he said, well, no. If you notice now, because of that discussion, if you notice on the bridge, you'll see that there's an abutment that goes a little bit further on the east side of that bridge. They actually built into the bridge the ability to put a bicycle lane on the bridge separate from the actual roadway. In addition, there's no off-route where that bridge at the 35 bridge to get up to the bridge. So if somebody wanted to get off of the loop trail or was coming from Hudson and wanted to get to the loop trail, there's no way of doing that. So the resolution is just saying that we think the communities of St. Croix County would see the benefit of having a trail come off of that loop, coming up to 35 to allow them, if they're doing that loop trail, then just head south towards, the village of North Hudson and the city of Hudson. And I think the feedback that we get from WisDOT is, boy, anything you can do is helpful, because nobody has pointed that out to us. We're also looking at, we'll probably be involved with the county as they start doing some of the planning for trails. And what we're really there is to support communities, bringing local government entities together to, discuss if we have a plan for bicycle trails, how does that connect to the trails that they're developing over here? I'll just give you an example. If if the town of Somerset decides they want a bike trail, I don't think they've actually looked at what St. Joe is doing. So if you have a bike trail in the town of Somerset coming here and a bike trail over here in the town of St. Joe, you want to get those municipalities together. And really, the coalition is just hoping to be the facilitator to make that happen. So, sorry, I kind of went on.
No, that's, I was just curious, I mean, you said the coalition is here to support the municipalities, but then you said you want the municipalities to support the coalition. Now, it all comes down to dollars. Where do the dollars come from?
We're not asking for dollars. There's no plans to make any commitment of any municipalities' dollars. We're asking that we just form the ties to talk. There are a lot of interested parties, and when you look at bicycling in Wisconsin and Minnesota, there's a lot of dollars being spent on it. And if you look at the gaps, you look at Madison and Milwaukee as having a tremendous trail system, and you look at the Twin Cities, but there isn't much in between. We pulled up you can go on Google, if you ever go to a map, and you can pick, instead of picking car routes, you can pick bicycle routes. And it's interesting to see the trails that are going to be happening as a result of the loop trail. For instance, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Gateway Trail in Minnesota. It travels from Pine Point Park all the way to St. Paul, I believe it is. They are actually now developing what used to be the old Zephyr line. It was a dinner train. That was abandoned, and now that's becoming a loop trail, or it's becoming a bicycle trail that's going to travel from Stillwater up to the Gateway Trail. So Stillwater sees this as a tremendous economic boom, because all the bicyclists will be coming down to the new loop trail and be able to do it by traveling by bicycle from St. Paul on a trail. We'd like them to continue from Stillwater into Wisconsin and head down to North Hudson and to Hudson to take advantage of what we think is the beautiful, St. Croix Valley on the Wisconsin side. And I think it's just an opportunity that's ripe to happen, I think.
Who maintains the trail connections?
There was some discussion about that, and I believe St. Croix County, at this point, took responsibility for the new loop trail. I know there was some question about who was going to take care of that, whether it be St. Joe or, because I think most of that trail is in the township of St. Joe, but the county is taking responsibility for that. I think if you look at what happens in areas, that you get friends groups that will take on responsibility of a trail, maintaining it, whether it be sweeping it or cleaning brush off or doing things that would maintain that trail. There are a number of organizations in Minnesota that I'm aware of, for instance, the Friends of the Gateway Browns Creek Trail, and they actually meet and do they actually have some senior citizens and people that maybe are retired that go out and mow along the side of the trails. So I don't think there's any desire to bring any financial burden on any of the municipalities that we're looking at, unless they're willing to commit that. But we also want to make people aware of grants and funding sources available that could be used by municipalities to improve their trails. We kind of felt the first thing to make that happen was having a St. Croix County plan, updated plan, because one of the first things when they're reviewing a grant proposal, they're saying, well, why are you doing this? When you can say that it's a a county plan that we're implementing, that's where you would find success in being able to be successful in, gaining grant dollars.
Okay, and I looked at the bylaws and stuff, and now putting Colleen on the board now, it talks about voting members, non-voting members. I mean, if we're not signing on to the bylaws, is that, what is
Well, what we see is that they're just a representative of your governing body. So anything that was done there would be advisory. And we wanted to have those voting members on specific issues. So if we have if we're looking at planning for trails and there's a decision which trail may go on which road, and we wanted that to be kept amongst discussion of representatives of the governing bodies. But again, it's really just there's nothing binding on the local governments. It's really a way for governments to get together and talk, but without having all of the entire, village board and the town of St. Joe board and the town of Hudson board having to get together. Now you have representatives that will come back and feed information back to you as a board.
Anybody else got any questions? Mark? Ted? Okay, so, all right, thank you. As far as bylaws, the statement said we don't need to adopt those, so we're gonna skip A,
Skip that altogether.
skip that altogether,
Skip
right?
bylaws altogether.
And, for the resolution, we need a motion, if anybody would be so moved.
Move approval of resolution 2014-08, Village of North Hudson, Wisconsin, supporting a link from the St. Croix River Crossing Loop Trail on the Highway 35 bridge over the new Highway 64. Whereas the Wisconsin Department of Transportation is planning to build a bike and pedestrian trail in Wisconsin, currently referred to as the Loop Trail, as part of the St. Croix River Crossing Project, and whereas the Loop Trail connects Minnesota and Wisconsin across both the Stillwater Lift Bridge and the new St. Croix River Crossing Bridge, and whereas the Loop Trail, as currently configured, has no provision for an exit at the southern end of the Loop Trail in Wisconsin as it crosses the new St. Croix River Bridge between Minnesota and Wisconsin, and whereas there has been a decades-old desire to connect the Stillwater Lift Bridge and the Interstate 94 Bridge via a safe and accessible trail between the two bridges, and whereas the Interstate 94 Bridge currently has a trail accommodation between Minnesota and Wisconsin, and whereas a connection to the 35 Bridge on the southern end of the Loop Trail would create a number of trail connection possibilities as follows. 1, a short trail south on Highway 35 to St. Croix County Road V, which would allow an efficient connection to Willow River State Park. And 2, a connection to the Village of North Hudson, its existing and proposed trails and parks, businesses and attractions, and access to the St. Croix River. And 3, a connection to the City of Hudson, its existing and proposed trails and parks, historic downtown, businesses and attractions, and access to the St. Croix River, and a connection between the cities of Hudson and Stillwater and their respective historic downtowns, and a connection to the Interstate 94 bridge that crosses into Minnesota. And whereas, without loop trail access onto the Highway 35 bridge, an alternate route to the attractions referenced above would be a trail between Holton and the Highway 35 bridge, a much longer, duplicative, and likely more costly connection, also requiring an accommodation on the Highway 35 bridge. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of North Hudson officially supports action by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation as the Loop Trail is designed in 2015 to create a trail accommodation from the Loop Trail onto the Highway 35 bridge that crosses over the newly constructed Highway 64, a part of the St. Croix River Crossing Project.
Thank you, Colleen. Is there a second?
I haven't heard of it out like that.
Is there a second?
Does Is everybody clear as to what this is a resolution, what you're resolving? Would it be helpful if I just draw a quick diagram? Because as you went through all of that, I'm going, boy, I'd be confused if I was knowing what I was what I'm approving for a resolution.
No, I know where, you know, I don't know, I'm speaking for me, I know where it is and what the stuff is, but I don't understand why we need a resolution. It's something that's not in the Village of North Hudson.
Well, what we're saying is that, I think is for us, for that trail to connect to Hudson and through the Village of Hudson, North Hudson, and to the City of Hudson, we think that we have to have that loop trail, a way to get off of the loop trail on the south end, because it will make it much more accessible for those people that wanna take that loop and exit off of it and go south towards Hudson and the Village of North Hudson. Without it.
Yeah, no, I understand that, the connection portion of it, you know, but as far as to me, by naming Colleen as our liaison with the group, shows that we are supporting it rather than a resolution that we stack. You know, there's resolutions, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, no, you said right here, you know, I mean, type of thing. So that's where I'm having the disconnect is why we need a resolution when, to me, it looks like by appointing Colleen, which I will recommend at the next item, that we are showing support by that means rather than through resolution.
Well, I think because this will go to the Department of Transportation to show, you know, that the village is supporting this.
Gives weight to your proposition.
Yeah.
And more so than the Department of Transportation isn't going to say that, oh, Colleen was appointed, or that there's a representative. They need something more that, like the resolution just saying that we support this because it, you know, it potentially should go through North Hudson to make it the easy access to get into Hudson.
I would just, you know, echo what Colleen stated, that, you know, I think we've been in touch with Jeff About, who's with the Department of Transportation in Eau Claire, and I think he's encouraged the communities to speak out, because if you can picture, what's happening in that loop trail, it's really designed to get people from Stillwater to do a 5-mile loop into Wisconsin and come back. We're saying that this is a joint effort by Wisconsin and Minnesota, and that we want people to be able to go off of that loop trail and go down to Hudson, or we want them to be able to go to Willow River State Park, because we think we have some important points of interest in Wisconsin, whether it be the Willow River State Park, or, you know, the town of Hudson, Village of North Hudson, or the City of Hudson. I think there's some valuable points of interest that we want them to build into that route, into the loop trail. So having the communities come out and say, we support this, really adds value to the message to the Wisconsin Department of Transportation as they start that planning process.
So I have just one or two questions. One, and this is probably more for you, Terry.
Actually, I have a point of since Daryl's not here, I have a point of parliamentary procedure. We really should have a second and then further discussion, because if there's not
Okay.
gonna be a second, then it just
I will
dies.
second.
Yeah, okay,
All right, so now
yep,
discussion.
thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Jeez, Daryl, where
I
did
thought
you
it
show
was
up from? So by if we sign the resolution, it's not binding us to anything in the coalition. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct.
Okay. And then, it's also not, connecting the village to maintenance of a connection off of the loop?
That's correct.
Okay.
I can make a pretty blanket statement that there's nothing in the resolution that actually binds the village to do anything.
Okay. Yep, that was my,
That's what I needed to hear. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, so the motion is for the resolution 2014-08, village support of having a exit or an access point for the bridge, loop trail. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll sign that. Okay, next item is Appointment, I'll make a motion to appoint Colleen O'Brien Berglund as the North Hudson representative to the Bike Pedestrian Coalition. And Mark, second, thank you. Any further discussion? Ted, you don't want that job?
No, I'll pass.
Okay,
I
all in
don't support it.
all in favor of Colleen being our representative to keep the board informed of what's happening with the trail, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Colleen. Oh, you have an official title for the meetings you've been going to.
Yes.
Okay,
One less night a month if you can go someplace else.
Yeah.
alrighty, so that ends that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your taking a considerable amount of time and looking at that, and appreciate your support. Have a great evening.
You
Good night.
too. Okay, next is, since that did take a long time, new business from the board or staff. The only thing, the president's comments, I would remind folks out there that October is Fire Prevention Safety Month, so, please, and we usually check our batteries and stuff next month when we go to daylight savings time. It used to be in October. But just, it is the season, the wood stoves, the fireplaces, heaters, space heaters, gets to be a sad time of year for a lot of folks that haven't paid attention. So please, check your, equipment, have a plan, and, that's all I got. Gloria?
Oh.
Gloria doesn't have anything. Melissa does.
I'd like to remind residents of the upcoming general election on Tuesday, November 4th. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. If you are not registered to vote or you have changed your name or address, please contact me for information on how to get registered prior to the election to avoid long lines on election day. One important reminder, photo ID is required for the November 4th election. You must bring a photo ID with you to the polls on election day to receive a ballot. If you will need to vote by absentee ballot prior to election day, you will also need to bring a photo ID with you. There is information on acceptable forms of photo ID, how to get a free photo ID if needed, and what to expect on election day on our website at northhudsonvillage.org. Go to the News, Events, and Public Notices tab, then Election Information.
Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
Okay, next item on the agenda, Plan Commission, they did not meet. Next item, Personnel and Finance Committee recommendations, claims and approvals. Is there a motion?
Stan, I'll move to approve the September 2014 non-reoccurring claims totaling $37,438.28.
Thank you, Ted. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Any further discussion? Okay, it's, since that's pending, Colleen?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
This carries, thank you. Next item on the agenda, assessor contract.
Stan, may I move to accept the 2015-2016 assessor contract as presented to us,
Thank you, Mark.
Bomar Appraisal.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. Further discussion? Finance went over this and we've acceptable, and Terry has looked at it, so.
It's the same as last time, except for the couple of the dollar figures are different, and we're not doing the reassessment.
Very good. So, let's see, Ted?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, carries, thank you. Next item, is in finance, we discussed 215 stormwater fund balance deficit, and we're gonna move that to next month as we need some more information on that. So that is off the agenda. The annual budget, we discussed just getting ready for the time that, so we can pay our bills and run the village. That was discussion only, so that's there. Public Works, I believe, met.
Public Works. did
No,
not
Public Works did not meet. Oh, Public Safety did. Okay,
We did?
There's
Oh,
minutes.
by golly, we did, yeah. Well, I don't have,
It was a while ago.
anything substantial to report. It's in the minutes.
Okay.
I'll be happy to field any questions, but, well, I won't be happy to. but-
No, it's. Okay, let's see, that's public safety, done. Public welfare. Is the chairs not here? Did they meet? I don't think. But there is, there was a park board meeting.
And not too much, you may have noticed that the Welcome to North Hudson signs are up at both ends of town after all these years. Thank you, Mark and Public Works, for getting those installed. And they installed some flower boxes, which, well, plant something in there that's low maintenance, just to make it a little nicer.
They requested that they have a gardener over there at the
Oh.
seniors place that takes care of their stuff,
That's fine.
so. it's my fault.
Whatever,
Yeah, but-
whatever they want.
Yeah,
since
when
they-
he goes to the store, buy an extra flat of flowers and put in whatever he wants.
Since they were nice enough to let us put it there, that's great. And it is nice to see those. They'll be in time for the motorcycle run. And the other thing,
So did we ever find a location on the,
Yeah, they're on both ends.
yes,
Yeah, it's
I
out
haven't been
by,
out this
it's out
way.
by Holton.
Oh, what'd you say?
It's in St. Joe.
Just in case you guys decide to
Yeah,
go to the village.
we're gonna start we're gonna start annexing like mad, over the protests of the residents, and we're
Yeah.
gonna just, then we'll move our side up.
It
Hey,
worked.
Place to put the
Just
sign.
Slowly take them over, yeah.
we'll take a drive out that way
that'd be
and
cool.
turn
I will,
around and come
actually,
back.
yeah.
Between Starwood and Station Line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So thanks, Mark, and thank you for, that one out here, I love it. I just absolutely love it.
I'm surprised it hasn't caused accidents yet.
Doc,
Now,
or slow down.
those would be the barrels in the middle of the street there in Hudson.
And the only other thing, we've started talking about trying to do some of the buckthorn control in Webster Park. Contacted the principal of North Hudson if they would be interested in helping again. We did that a couple years ago, did chop down some of it, but, it's a never-ending problem. And we did have Jack Rasmussen come and talk to us about his process that he uses, which involves 3 steps of first, cutting off the branches with the berries, and then treating them with a chemical, and then in the later fall, when all the leaves have fallen off the other trees, spraying it with a chemical mixed with water, and then it would just get absorbed into the buckthorn, because they're the only ones that still have leaves at that point. I don't know if we'll be able to get anything done this year, but it is something that needs to be done. And the chemical actually is fairly cheap, and, covers a lot of territory. So it's just something we would like to do. Like I said, I don't know if it'll get done this year, but it's a big project. And, if North Hudson Elementary wants to help, their parent group and students helped quite a bit the last time, and we did get quite a bit out. But if you don't keep after it, it's just keeps coming back.
Okay. Now, the chemicals, is that something that the village eats the cost on that?
It was, it was relative, it was only like $70 or something, could just come out
Yeah,
without
I-
maintenance.
I know, but, I know people that have done some buckthorn control, and that's the first time I've ever heard anybody say, oh, it's not very expensive, that's why I was like, ugh. So, and, chemicals next to the school and stuff like that, I'd be interested to know what's in it and
Yeah.
stuff, and so I'm sure the parents would too, okay, anything else?
Nope.
And let's see, item 15 is Mr. Zappa.
And may I move to adjourn?
Yes, you may, and this meeting is adjourned at 7:50. Thank you, everyone.
Gracias.
Have a great night.